Okay, guys, so what you're gonna do today is you're gonna complete this Desmos activity. So a couple of things. It's literacy and math, so there is going to be a little bit of a reading portion, so just keep that in mind. But a tank is contained some water. The function W represents is the relationship between T, time in minutes, and the amount of water in the tanks in liters. The equation is W of T equals 80 minus 2.5 T, defines this function. Describe how the water in the tank is changing, be as specific as possible. So what does W of T represent? The input or the output of this function. Okay, so you're thinking about that, and then try to sketch the graph. You can just plug this into Desmos and then sketch the graph from there. But just keep in mind, it's not going to have negative numbers. Okay, so how much water will be in the tank after 13 minutes? So in this case, you would plug in 13 in for T. And then how many minutes will it take for the tank to have 5 liters of water? So you would take this equation and set it equal to 5. Okay, so again, in order to solve this, you would take the equation and set it equal to 5. And then what information can we gain from the inverse of this function? So if you found the inverse, that means that you would switch your x and y and then solve for your y, okay, and get y by itself. So I would subtract 80 and then divide by negative 2.5, okay? So this would be negative 1 over 2.5x minus 80 divided by 2.5 equals y. So what would that inverse represent? Okay. The next part, if I were to substitute in a value of x, then what is the order of steps I would use to evaluate the function? That would be to multiply and then subtract. Now, if I wanted to undo that, what would be the steps that I would take mathematically to undo? So working it backwards, what would you do? Okay, you want to identify the inverse functions for these. So this is how you write the inverse of some function. So you're going to switch your x and y and then solve for your y. Okay, and then describe the relationship between a function and its inverse. Basically, what I want you to get from this is that a function and its inverse is a reflection over the line y equals x. Okay, so they're gonna like reflect over this line. So for instance, if I had this line, then that's y equals x. My function would be this, and my inverse would be this. Okay, so it's gonna look like symmetric when you tilt your head to the side. Okay, so you're gonna complete that Desmos activity, and then what you're gonna do, if I can make this stop moving around, is you would go into these Google Slides, okay, and you're going to complete the following. So I'm gonna work a couple of these. So if I find the inverse of this function, I'm gonna switch my x and y, and then I'm gonna solve for my y. So I'm gonna add 5. So that's x plus 5 equals 3y. I'm gonna divide by 3. And so 1/3 x plus 5/3 is the inverse. And that's how you write that inverse. Okay, so again, remember, switch your x and y and then write it in y equals mx plus b. So what do you notice from this? If I take the function, and we already found the inverse, which is 1/3 x plus 5/3. Okay, so 1/3 x plus 5/3. Okay. If I take f of the inverse, then I'm going to plug in this equation for this x.
Good morning, and good morning.
And then I'm going to simplify. You should get equal to x at the end. If I took this one and plugged this function in, and I simplified, I'm going to get x.
Welcome back to Combination. We do
take the function g,
Dorothy, P.
then I'm going to take this equation and I'm going to plug it in for x. And then I'm going to simplify. When you simplify this, if they're inverses of each other, it should be x. So if I simplify this, I'm going to get x minus 4 divided by 3 and multiply by 3. Those are going to cancel. And I'm going to be left with x minus 4 plus 4, which is just going to equal x. So yes, these are both inverses of each other. Okay, so on this one, you're going to take h, write out h, and instead of writing that x, you're going to put in what g is. Okay. Now, when you simplify this, you're going to get a square root of x squared, which is going to simplify down to x. Okay, so again, if they come out to be x, when you do this is called the composition of those functions, then they're inverses of each other. Okay, so go ahead and try these. You should end up with them. If you graph them, you could also see whether they are inverses of each other because there'll be a reflection across the y equals x line. Okay, so you're going to complete this little practice. This is the partner practice A and B. You can work with a partner if you would like to. You're not going to turn this one in, it's just for practice, but you are going to turn in this one. Okay, so turn this one in on a piece of paper. Please don't send me any documents online. So this is what this looks like. Hopefully, nope. Gotta open in a right tab. Okay, so again, you're gonna do this on a piece of paper and you're gonna turn this one in. Okay, so it's just 4 problems, not too bad. Please do this on your own because this is telling me whether or not you understand these concepts. Okay, and that is it.